You've done IVF more than once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, maybe more than that. Each cycle, they tweak the protocol, they give you a higher dose, maybe a lower dose, a different stimulation drug, a different trigger, or they added a growth hormone, the DHEA, the mini IVF, dual stim. Each cycle, the protocol changed, and now they're telling you donor eggs. So here's the question this episode is about. They change the protocol every time. Did anyone look at your health? Did anyone look at what was already in your body with it when each of those protocols arrived? That's what this episode is about, the layer underneath every protocol. Let's go. So before I get into it, here's who's reviewing your picture. If you book a call with us, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile, host of the Get Pregnant Naturally, a podcast with over 1 million downloads. We've been doing this for over 8 years. And so I was told donor eggs at 28 and had both my children through donor eggs. My functional fertility team works with couples navigating low AMH, high FSH, failed IVF. We review your functional lab testing results and have access to gut microbiome testing, food sensitivity testing, vaginal microbiome, nutrigenomics. So we look at the Grow Baby test. This is different than looking at your karyotyping. We do HTMA, so hair tissue mineral analysis. We see so many people with low nutrients, Dutch testing, so we can see exactly what's going on with your adrenals, your cortisol levels, and all your different hormone levels over the course of 24 hours. Toxin testing, because we're in the middle of a big toxic soup. Blood work for both you and your partner, his semen analysis, including DNA fragmentation, and nervous system work. And so we help identify patterns that may not have been considered. We work alongside your medical team, not instead of them. So that's our team. A protocol is what they gave you, the drugs, the doses, the timing. And a system is how you came into the cycle. Your nutrient status, the inflammation, your gut, your thyroid, your cortisol, your microbiome, toxin load. So every IVF cycle that didn't work, the response from your clinic was to change the protocol. Higher dose to get more eggs, lower dose because you over-responded, different drug to improve quality, different trigger, the letrozole, the growth hormone, DHEA, people are taking that, they're not even testing. All of these are adjustments, and obviously IVF has been around for years. It has worked for many people. We're seeing the people that the IVF didn't work. It was a poor response. It was a canceled cycle, resulted in pregnancy loss. Congress and government is pushing for coverage of IVF. That's because big pharma is behind it, and there's a huge push for that. So you don't have a medication deficiency. The majority of us can get pregnant naturally. We're not opposed to IVF. We do this alongside, but if we're just doing the medication side of it, we miss the whole other equation. And I know that you've already done a lot of work on your health. No one goes into IVF just willy-nilly here. You've done a lot of work, but we need to look at this in a targeted manner, because none of this is going to look at your body. A protocol is going to respond to the cycle, and a functional fertility workup investigates the environment the cycle actually happened in. So after multiple cycles and multiple protocol changes, that's when they bring the donor aid conversation, but they're bringing it with only half the data. So if your first IVF cycle did not work, the clinic looks at the cycle and changes the protocol, like we just said. The change was the hypothesis about the cycle, not your body. So your body went into the second cycle with the same thyroid pattern. Maybe your TSH was above 2 slightly. They gave you a little bit of medication for it. Same iron level. You were told your iron was normal. Maybe yours was low. And they told you to take an iron supplement because you've been anemic. The same gut issues. Maybe you've got bloating or burping or digestive issues, constipation, diarrhea, all that piece. No one's going to investigate that. You're feeling super stressed. You either had a high stress job before this, work with a lot of type A people, hypervigilance. Your body just feels on alert. And then add in over and over again the IVF cycle back to back because you're feeling panicked, and no wonder it hasn't worked. Your resilience is down. We need to boost everything up. And so they're just changing the drugs. So the second cycle didn't work, and they keep doing it 2, 3, 4, 5. I have people doing 8, 10 IVFs, and no one stopped to dig into deeper why it hasn't worked, and we're just told donor eggs. Sorry, it's donor eggs. A 2024 study in the Archives of Gynecology and Obstetrics found that ovarian reserve markers like AMH do not significantly predict natural conception in women with regular cycles, which means donor eggs gets recommended based on markers that the literature itself shows are not the whole story. We also work with people that have irregular cycles or no cycles. So our goal is always to either get your cycle back, to regulate your cycle, to get your health in the best place. And then when you decide to do IVF, you're going to improve the chances of this working. So if you're listening to this and recognizing yourself and what happened across some of these cycles and want you to have something before we go any further, so I put together a guide called What Your Clinic Missed. It walks you through the markers we look at before a donor egg recommendation gets accepted at face value. The thyroid panel, not just the TSH, the iron panel that flags ferritin against the fertility target, the gut testing your REI does not order, the inflammatory markers they tell you are normal, and also the male side, the half the picture that almost nobody investigates. So if you'd like to get your hands on the guide, send me a message at hello@fabfertile.ca, subject line missed, and we'll send you the guide. That's hello@fabfertile.ca, subject line missed, and we'll send it over to you. You can bring it to your next appointment, share it with your REI. The whole idea is to ask questions, be your own advocate. If the REI doesn't listen, that's okay. They're trained with surgeries and medication. We need to have a team, and the biggest thing is that you know your body best. So here's what's not the variable across the IVF cycles. What never got tested. So the full thyroid panel includes antibodies and not just the TSH. The ferritin is fertility optimized above 50. We like it 80 to 100 going into IVF. So not the iron, not the lab cutoff of 15. No one looked at the B12. We see a lot of the times either it's elevated because you're not absorbing it or it's low. We like it 800 to 900. The zinc, the vitamin D. A lot of us know about the vitamin D piece. We see it low consistently. Not everyone, but if we see it low, we like it 60 to 80. And so if it's low, it's not just about you supplementing, there could be gut issues. A high sensitivity C-reactive protein, so that's an inflammatory marker. We like it below 1, even a little bit above 1. Where's that inflammation coming in from? So looking at stool testing for H. pylori, for parasites, for fungal issues, for dysbiosis. Looking at your inflammatory markers in the guts, the calprotectin. We see a lot of people with irritable bowel disease, colitis, and Crohn's, and then they're being told donor eggs, and then no one's looked at the fact that they've got leaky gut, intestinal permeability, all these gut infections are coming in, and the whole gut microbiome is on fire, and we're wondering why things aren't working. I do encourage you not just to do one gut microbiome test and tick the box thinking you're done. This is multifactorial. It's a number of testing, and also your nervous system. So the cortisol pattern should go up in the morning, come down at night. We see it flatline because it's stress or it's all over the place, or it gets a little bit elevated before bed. That's why you feel like you need to go and vacuum and clean the whole house because you're like, we've got a second wind and your body's not able to calm down. So a lot of sleep hygiene work we do with people. A lot of this is physiology. If your body is feeling in that chronic stress mode, in the freeze state where maybe you just feel numb, or maybe you're just on a heightened hypervigilant, you've got to check it all. Only you can do everything. It's hard to delegate. It's hard to take this stuff off your plate, and you're always looking over your shoulder because you're not trusting anything around you because your body feels on high alert. Looking at the mineral status, so looking at your toxin load. We see a lot of people with low minerals, especially if you've got IBD. This is not all about IBD. We do see a theme with people that have irritable bowel disease. Vaginal microbiome, if you've got infections there being passed back and forth. I've done many episodes on the vaginal microbiome. Before you do a transfer, we must do the vaginal microbiome and sometimes the seminal microbiome. And we don't just do that, we got to go upstream to the gut. So it's all connected. If the vaginal microbiome, if you got bacterial vaginosis, uroplasma, other toxins happening in there, that could be why it's inflamed, why it's not working. Fasting glucose, your A1C, your insulin. So looking at that, if your blood sugar is on a roller coaster from not enough protein, I can't tell you the number of people, vegetarian, vegans. My parents have been vegans for over 35 years. I can see how the vegan diet has been good for them. And then now as they're getting older, it's not necessarily serving them because they're low in nutrients and they're not getting the protein that they used to get because they cooked more, and now in their 80s, they're not cooking as much. So yes, there's a huge argument. You can get enough protein from a vegan diet, but you need to be very mindful about it and know what you're doing. The body needs protein for your blood sugar and for your hormones, and we see many people that are just not getting enough. And so we're never going to force anyone to eat red meat. That is not what we're talking about here. We need to look at your blood work and see what you need. We just need to be careful about being stuck in a generalized recommendations that may be beneficial for someone, but for a cycling woman trying to get pregnant, looking at your diet is key. So the donor egg recommendation came after multiple protocol changes, not after a system review. So the clinic exhausted the only variable that they were trained to address, which is your medication. And so it's not a criticism. That's what they're trained to do. The question is whether anyone looked at the half of the picture they didn't test. So if the answer is no, the donor egg decision is being made with only half the data. So some women go through a full functional fertility assessment. They still go to donor eggs. That's a valid path for some women, and it is the right one. That's how I had both my children. The thing is, I didn't know about the other path, not until years later. If you're listening to this, there's things you can do and you know about it. But sometimes we just feel at this exact moment, donor eggs feel right for us. Most people that come to us, they want to try with their own eggs. But we do help many people when they do select donor eggs to help that work. Because I see people spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 and it still doesn't work because the environment, i.e. your health, was not addressed. So this whole episode is about giving you clarity before a decision. So the functional fertility second opinion is where the clarity happens about your specific case. So if you wanted to get our eyes on your specific case, we are going to look at your labs, your history, your full picture, and your partner's picture together. So you're going to leave knowing some high-level patterns of what the biology has been telling you before your next decision. So whether you decide to go to donor eggs or to try with your own eggs, we need to be able to look at all the data here and make an informed decision. So if you want to book a call, you can go to the show notes and click on the link to book with your partner. If you're partnered, if you're single, we work with singles too. Or you can go to hello@fabfertile.ca, subject line fertile, and tell me a little bit more about your situation, and then we can book a call and talk about some options to help. So make sure you subscribe to Get Pregnant Naturally so you do not miss an episode, and take care.